And next, we're going to take a look at the Green Bay Packers Fantasy Football 2013. I'm Brett Norton. Uh, the Packers have a tremendous fantasy team. They're one of the best fantasy teams that is out there. They're going to score a ton of points. They've got lots of weapons. Almost every position on the team is worthy of your consideration for early drafting, starting with quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers is the one, maybe two best quarterbacks from fantasy perspective. He and Drew Brees definitely dominate the conversation there, and as such is the only quarterbacks that are going in rounds 2 and 3. Um, I would prefer Brees over Rodgers just because the Saints are going to be behind more, going to throw more passes. However, either one does you a great job as far as your quarterback. Definitely Rodgers goes no later than the early part of round 3 and often is going in the early part of round 2. Running back, they have Lacy from the University of Alabama. He's a rookie. Not a breakaway threat, but a lot of people don't seem to think very much of him. They have now the fat picture supposedly of him from training camp and how out of shape he might be. But I would look for Lacy to be a very solid contributor. He's going to score some points on the goal line. He's going to give the Packers their best run game they've had in several years. He is someone, because he is a rookie, that seems to be going around 4 or 5 or even 6 as a running back, and that's terrific value, especially if you're using him as like a running back 3 or even someone that you just keep on your bench to weaken your opponents or as trade value later on in the season. I think Lacy's going to be great for the Packers. Wide receivers, they've got 3 great ones. Jordy Nelson is an early draft pick, was hurt last year, so you have to keep an eye on that. But when healthy, is a terrific receiver. James Jones kind of backs him up or plays in the slot, and is another guy worthy of consideration with lots of touchdown receptions last year. And of course, Randall Cobb. They use him in a lot of different ways. He returns kicks for them. They use him as a receiver and as a running back type of player as well. Try and get him out in space. All 3 of them are terrific receivers. All 3 of them are worthy of consideration in the early rounds. Go towards rounds 5, 6, 7. All 3 of them should go. Packers spread the ball around a lot, and all of them are terrific receivers. Jermichael Finley at the tight end spot. He's one of those plethora of tight ends that's okay but not great. You could do worse. You could certainly do better. He's just not consistent enough to make him a top-flight fantasy tight end. The defense isn't great, but they do have a solid return game. They will get lots of interceptions because they're going to be ahead a lot, and as such, that does bring them up a bit in their fantasy value. I put them in the back half of the top 10, but certainly one that you should look at as drafting if you're drafting a defense pretty late in the draft. And kickers, Mason Crosby. Crosby just isn't consistent enough with longer field goals. He's very inaccurate. He was terrible last year, but he's even for his career, been very inaccurate on the 50-plus yard field goals, and even the 40-plus yard field goals he's not very accurate on, so you shouldn't waste your time drafting someone like Mason Crosby, although he will get you a certain number of points simply from the fact the Packers will score so many touchdowns. So again, Aaron Rodgers, the first or second best quarterback in the draft, will go round 2 or 3. Lacy's available in round 4 or 5 as a running back, and that could be a great value for you. Nelson, Jones, Cobb, all top wide receivers going early in the draft. Finley, another guy you could draft, but it's just okay at the tight end spot. The defense is a worthy look at, mostly for the return game and the fact they'll be ahead so much they'll get some interceptions and maybe some pick sixes that they otherwise wouldn't. And I wouldn't worry too much about Mason Crosby at the kicker spot.